This is the Citrus County Planning and Development Commission public hearing for November 18th, 2021. If you would like to join us at this time, I invite you to please stand for the invocation and please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I'm sorry, I thought Jim was doing it. My bad. Dear Lord, please give us grace to be understanding, patient, and tolerant. With these attributes, we can conduct our work in a manner which will be pleasing to Thee, our county, and its residents. In the Lord's name, amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I misunderstood you. You can shoot me.
Yes, ma'am. Roll call.
Good morning. I have the following Planning and Development Commission members present this morning. David Bramblett, First Vice Chair. Robert Bass, Second Vice Chair. Richard Barnes, James Royce, Kurt Stone, Stacy Worthington, William Berta, Alternate, and School Board Representative Chuck Dixon.
Thank you. If any person decides to appeal any decision made by the Commission with respect to any matter considered at this hearing, he or she will need a record of the proceedings and, for such purpose, he or she may need to ensure that a verbatim record of the proceedings is made, which record includes testimony and evidence upon which the appeal is to be based. During public input portions of the meeting, individuals are given 3 minutes, representatives of an organization are given 5. When anyone wishing to speak comes to the podium, please complete a yellow form to hand to the recording secretary. Please print your name, address, and the number of the application for which you are speaking on the form. The yellow forms can be found at the podium by the door. If representing an organization, a letter of authorization must accompany the speaker. Comments will be limited to the topic being heard. Please state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the taped record. At this time, we'll have the public portion of the meeting. This is an opportunity for anyone to come forward and speak on any matters that they wish. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I understand I received this letter in regards to changing the zone area directly in front of my house.
Okay, is this for one of the items on the agenda?
Well, from what I understood from your letter, that's why I'm here.
Okay.
I don't quite understand, and I need to get it clarified.
Understood. So that we'll get to that item on the agenda, and then you'll have an opportunity to speak after you hear from everybody. Is that okay?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion of the meeting. Minutes of August 5th, 2021. Does anyone want to make a motion?
Bill Berta, make a motion to approve.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion regarding those minutes?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
on page 19, under Commission questions and comments, in the first paragraph, 6th line, I think that should have the word from changed to into the record. That's all the changes I have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Staff announcements?
No announcements at this time.
Ex parte?
Good morning, Commissioners. With regard to AA-21-05, CPAA PUD-21-14, CPAAA PUD-21-15, have you had any ex parte communications you need to disclose? And we'll start with Commissioner Dixon.
None. Site visits on all and also on CPA/AA PUD-21-15. I need to excuse myself.
None.
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 Site visit on AA-21-05 and CPA/AA/PUD-21-15.
None.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. At this time, we'll hear AA-21-05.
Yes, this application is a request to amend the land use atlas map from low-density residential mobile homes allowed to low-density residential. This is an aerial view of the properties. This is a view of the property from Duncanfield Avenue and looking south on Duncanfield and looking north. Thank you.
Thank you. Would the applicant please come forward? Are you the applicant, Miss Terry? Yes. Yes, ma'am. It's your turn. I said it's your turn.
I haven't turned my hearing aid up yet.
You might want to.
I am. No, well, all I want to do is have this changed because obviously it will up the value of our property. It's all of the mobile homes next to mine and myself. And I'll just read this request from the planning. It said the request is to redesignate 3.9 acres from LDRHMH to LDR on the land use atlas map. Granting this request will not adversely affect the public interest and would be generally compatible with adjacent properties and other properties in the district. And I will add too that it will also add value to the properties. So that's my case.
Miss Terry, just for the record, can you state your name and your address and your last name?
Jackie Terry,
And your address, please.
the street address, of course. Yeah, 6914 West Seagrass Court.
Thank you.
That's it.
No, ma'am. Hang tight. Staff,
Not at this time, thank you.
question from the board? Mr. Stone?
Ms. Terry, is the only reason that you're doing this is to increase the property value of your lots there? Is that the reason? Is there any other reason?
I didn't hear what you said.
Is there any other reason other than increasing the value of your property for this request?
Well, yes. Well, the two houses that are already on that property that we're talking about, the 5 acres, the one has been there since 1980, and the other one, Mr. Funtig, his home is also on there, and he's been there since '82. So I just think it's nice because there's 8 mobile homes here adjacent to my property then, so I think that, 8 mobile homes and then houses on the adjoining property would be sensible to me. It would, and also module, you could also put a module home on my property, so I don't see any reason why you wouldn't want to grant that, because it would increase the value of your home, or your property, I would imagine, anyway. Not to have all houses or all mobile homes, but to have a mix, like it says here, a mix, which would be good. So I don't see anybody objecting to that. I'm not asking to put a pig farm here or something. I think what I'm asking is I'm upgrading the surrounding area, no? Plus there's another home on the right side of my property. So that's it.
All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Anyone else? Seeing none? Thank you, Miss Terry.
Okay, that's it. I can go. When will I?
Not yet, they gotta discuss it. If you're done with your part.
Okay.
So go ahead and sit down, I'm gonna take over.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So can I go home?
Not yet.
Oh.
Go ahead and sit there and see what happens. We're not dismissing her yet. All right, I am not Amber. We had hoped this would be Amber's first application as a planner, but she is ill, so here I am. This is the Atlas Amendment AA 2105. This is an aerial of the property. There are 8 lots on an unrecorded sub. It is a private road in Seagrass Court. And not much to see here. 2 of the lots are developed with site-built homes. The other 6 are vacant. This is one of the site-built homes. Okay. Not much to show. Let's go back to the aerial. Can you pull up the land use map? Did she put that on one of your slides? No? The locator map? All right, if you look at the locator map, it is mobile home on all sides, north, south, and east, and then across the street, across Duncanfield, it is site-built homes. Mr. Stone's question was a good one. Why ask for this? we've seen this when people want to protect the area after they sell it. Obviously, she owns all these 8 properties, and perhaps, I don't know, maybe she wants site-built homes there. There are 2 site-built homes in this subdivision already. So if approved, this would require a site-built or modular only in this particular subdivision. And the findings of fact have been found to be positive.
Questions for staff from the applicant?
Are there any questions of me?
I didn't understand a thing you said.
Okay, I'm sorry. All right.
So are you for me or against me?
I probably would say for you.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Questions from staff from the board? I just have one question. So it's kind of, she owns all 8 of these properties, but 2 of them are developed, so they own both of those homes too?
Yes, she owns all eight properties.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Thanks.
The home that you showed that's already site-built, is that front on Duncanfield?
No, these are all fronting on, well,
I saw the double yellow line. It looked like it
It looked
was.
like it was on Duncanfield.
no, they're not. If you look on the locator map, they're actually interior on seagrass.
Yeah, it looks like.
She might be showing it. The home that she might be showing might be one on Duncanfield that she's showing across the street. I'm sorry, it's not my slides presentation, so I had to guess what that was. But if you look on there,
See 'em right there.
yeah, the 2 houses that are there are right in the middle, right there. Those 2 lots,
Okay.
and the rest are vacant.
I have a question.
Mr. Stone.
Sure.
Does the county have a particular policy about changing land use just to enhance the property value of something, or perceived property value of the owner with no other particular reason?
The county itself, we have policies in the comprehensive plan that we must maintain a comprehensive plan, and they must be consistent with the area. So as far as, I'm struggling how to answer that succinctly here. There are statutes and case law that talk about what justifies a land use change, and the findings here are positive. We do not have a prohibition that in changing the land use, it also increases the value. I know that might not address your question, but I'm struggling a bit. Ms. Lynn, are you jumping in, or is there anything I'm missing?
Did you want me to jump in?
You had the look on your face. I apologize.
No,
Yeah.
I'm not aware of any type of written policy in the comp plan or the land development code that says that the county would favor or not favor a change in zoning category simply related to value. And I don't think staff analyzed it related to value. I mean, the applicant may see the change increasing the value, but I don't think that that's how staff analyzed it, and staff analyzed it pursuant to the comp plan and the LDC.
Very, very succinctly put. I was struggling with my words, but that was very good.
All right, I have no further questions. Thank you.
Well, and the only thing I'll add to that too is we see a lot of applications that come in front of us, and people want to do land use changes and atlas amendments and PUDs, and their intent is never to develop that property. Their intent is to sell that property. They just don't come in and say, hey, I want to do this because I want to increase the value. She's just being much more truthful, in my opinion. So all the findings of fact are positive. I think it's okay.
I agree.
Anyone else? Okay, thank you, Ms. Coutu. We'll have the public portion of the meeting now. Anyone in favor of this application, please come forward. Anyone in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion of the meeting. Bring it back to the board for discussions and a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Ms. Worthington.
for the purpose of a motion, the Planning and Development Commission finds application number AA-21-05 consistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and Citrus County Land Development Code, and that this board recommends approval of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and testimony presented and the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
We have a motion.
Second.
We now have a second. Is there any discussions? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Terry. Your motion was passed here.
You're good.
Okay, CPA-AA-PUD-21-14.
Yes, this application is to amend the future land use map from LDR, low density residential, to GNC, general commercial. And we're amending the land use atlas map. The applicant's requesting to amend the land use atlas map from LDR/GNC to GNC/PUD, or plan unit development. This is an aerial view of the subject property and surrounding area in Hernando. This is looking east from West Norville Bryant Highway. This is a view of the subject property looking from Norville Bryant. And the master plan as submitted by the applicant. Thank you.
Susan, would you leave that one up there? Thank you. Good morning.
Yes, sir.
For the record, Clark Stowell on behalf of Pruitt Healthcare Industries. My professional address is 320 South Highway 41, the Brandon Bank Building in Inverness, Florida. You've seen this before. This is just what I'm going to call Pruitt Healthcare 2.0. It's a little, just cleans up a few facts. And just some housekeeping details. The property is no longer owned by the Citrus Hills Land Development Company. I've provided Ms. Coutu the deeds that they closed on in early this month, and Pruitt Healthcare now owns the property through a subsidiary corporation. When I was here before, I spoke to you about two deadlines my client was under. One was contractual on the sale of the property, which was contingent on the ability that they would know that they have the right to put a 93-bed skilled nursing home facility on it. And I spoke to you about they still are under a guideline with ACA as to the timeline to build this project. At that time, we identified that the underlying land use on the frontage, the GFLO map, was LDR, but the frontage on the LDC Atlas was GNC, which is just fundamentally incorrect, and it needs to be consistent on both levels for those two front out parcels to be used. Hence, we filed this application to GNC. Now, the back part is going to go to GNC too. This will allow some more site flexibility because the ISR rating is 0.40 in the LDR district, and we are right at 0.395 point. So this would allow some flexibility with the ISR if needed. Additionally, if you recall, there was a series of setback maps that we discussed when we approved it as a conditional use, and that setback criteria would go away if this is GNC. The application is in the planned service area. It's in the high density area. It is surrounded by high intensity commercials to the east, across the street, and to the west is a commercial area. But notwithstanding that, this is the site plan that you approved before. This is the site plan that we asked you to approve again, which will control the land use. The conditions haven't changed any, and we're agreeable to those. Questions?
Ms. Coutu?
Yeah, I apologize, Mr. Stillwell. I was explaining to Ms. Terry what had just happened, if you spoke about this already. But a lot of the hearing before was focused on the buffer for the residents on Reston. Can you address what you're doing with this application on that side?
Gentlemen and ladies, you approved, you wanted the wall, and that's what the conditional use has. My client is going to put up a wall because that's what you approved if you approve these staff conditions. I would say to you, and I don't want to re-debate it, but there's a lot of vegetation on this site, and putting up a wall is going to take away a lot of that vegetation. But you know, we had this back and forth debate 2 months ago, and I'm not going to let a buffer or a wall get in the way of a 93-bed skilled nursing facility, which ACA deemed this community needs. So.
Okay, so you're doing the same buffer that they previously approved on the CU?
Yes.
Okay, just want to make that clear. Thank you.
Thank you. Questions from the board? Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Stillwell.
Been a little while. Good morning, board.
Good morning.
This application is to amend the future land use map, the land use atlas map, and to establish a plan unit development for an assisted living facility and a skilled nursing facility. This property is approximately 19.25 acre off of West Nova Bryant Highway, which is our arterial roadway. The site is adjacent to a shopping plaza, fast food, an elementary school, also single family on the east side, as well as vacant single family and commercial. This property was brought to you under a different application, CU 2110, which you did approve, and I will explain the differences between the two applications and later on the conditions. The first difference is the current zoning for this property is LDR and GNC. The applicant is proposing to change the property to GNC in its entirety, which will be about 15 acres, and adding a PUD on top of that. The land use is LDR currently, and the applicant is proposing to go to GNC. That would be the 19 acres. This property is located in the planned service area. The applicant has provided letters from utilities saying that they have available capacity for essential water and sewer. Wanted to show a couple slides from 486. You can see that there's a pharmacy, and later on the east side there is another shopping plaza. And this is the subject property from 486. There it's heavily wooded. The site's heavily wooded, and it has a lot of large trees, definitely along 486. So at the time of permitting, the applicant will have to provide a biological study and a tree preservation plan. And this photo indicates the approximate area of where the required cross access will be to the shopping plaza. And here's a shopping plaza there. Mr. Stillwell did touch on the separation requirement that the LDC has. This is the Grand Living, which is the closest ALF from the proposal. We calculated a distance of 885. I know the applicant had a little bit of a difference, but in either case, it didn't meet the 1,000 square feet separation distance. Staff doesn't have any problems with this deviation. The applicant provided a certificate of need from the state. And this is the applicant's proposal. Phase 1 will be the 93-bed nursing facility, which includes the access drives, the parking, buffering, landscaping, stormwater retention. And Phase 2 will be providing the 60-unit ALF and additional parking area. The applicant did provide more parking spaces than needed. He's proposing 230 spaces. With the proposal, the applicant can meet ISR and FAR, and definitely going to GNC, they're well within the requirement to meet the density standards. Let's see here. I did want to touch on the future GNC parcels along 486. They will have to come back to you to develop that site. So you will see some form of this application again before you in the future. This project will have to meet our standards for ALFs and as well as large box standards, which will include things like the buffering and the lighting, which I know were issues before on the CU. This project will be limited by the PUD and will be compatible if the proposed conditions are adhered to. Looking at the conditions, the staff proposed conditions based off the CU. The new conditions are mostly standard conditions that we have, but I did want to state the differences. Condition 1, 5, 6, 9, and 10 are the new conditions. And error on my part, I did need to change condition 1. It says in the land use district, so it should say in the GNC district. So LDR to GNC on condition 1. And Mr. Gibbs did do a great job with this site plan. He actually provided more buffers than necessary on some of the abutting properties. So I did want to add another condition that says the applicant will provide buffers as shown on the master plan, including a wall at least 8 feet in height along the residential lot line built to best management practices, and that line would be erased on condition number 3. And that's all I have for you.
Mr. Stillwell? Thank you. The board have any questions?
I have one.
Mr. Royce?
In the slide that showed where your car was parked, I think it was your car, it shows
Could
that
be.
there's a entrance and an exit before that. That,
Oh, yes, there is a right in and right out on 486 for this property
is that
already.
gonna stay there?
Um,
Is that for the entrance that was shown on the overhead?
yeah, it looks like that would be where they're taken from on the master plan, and engineering didn't have any problems with them using that right in, right out.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Anything else? Seeing none? Thank you, Miranda.
Thank you.
Dominoes. Public portion of the meeting. Anyone in favor of this application, please come forward at this time. Anyone in favor? Anyone opposed? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion of the meeting. Bring it back to the board.
Is anybody expecting a call?
We had this last,
It's James's associates.
I was sitting there last week, I was doing the same thing. I just pushed buttons until it stopped.
Okay. Anybody have any questions, discussions, or motions? Go ahead, Mr. Bass.
Just want to make sure I get the right one.
I'm ready.
With conditions.
The Planning and Development Commission finds application number CPA-AA-PUD-21-14 consistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and Citrus Land Development Code, and that this board recommends approval with conditions of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and testimony presented in the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. CPA-AA-PUD-21-15.
Yes, this is an application for a land use change and a new plan unit development. The vacant site contains approximately 193 acres and lies adjacent to County Road 491 in West Citrus Springs Boulevard in Citrus Springs / Beverly Hills area. The site has an industrial designation and is proposed to go to low density residential for up to 800 single family residential home sites. This is looking south on County Road 491 with the application site on the right in this photo. And this is looking north on County Road 491 from the site. This view is looking west on West Citrus Springs Boulevard towards the middle school. The site is on the left in this photo. And the site plan is submitted by the applicant. Thank you.
Thank you. Nope. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning, Cammie Corbett with the law firm of Hill Ward Henderson, 101 East Kennedy Boulevard, Suite 3700, here representing the applicant, EPG Group, Eisenhower Property Group. This is a pretty straightforward request. We have reviewed staff's findings and recommendations and conditions, and we are in agreement with all of those. We are changing this underutilized industrial property for residential at a density that's consistent with the density in the surrounding area for single-family residential. And we are here to answer any questions. We have our civil engineer, our transportation expert, and Mr. Lutz from Eisenhower Property Group as well, should you have any questions.
Ms. Coutu?
No, thank you.
None? Any questions of the applicant from the board? Seeing none, thank you.
Okay, this is a large-scale application for 192.4 acres. And as mentioned, it is heavy industrial. That is our more intense zoning category that allows for things like concrete plants, manufacturing, all of the heavy industrial type uses you can think of. That would be allowed here. You can see in the staff report, I went back as far as I could to the 80s. It has been heavy industrial since that time. Mr. Dixon, in his history, said he heard Deltona may have originally had this as industrial. It's not developed, it's clearly vacant, but it is heavy industrial next to the Citrus Springs Middle School there, and also next to the trail. So this is the future land use category of industrial. You can see it is surrounded by some industrial. There is a substation there to the south, but otherwise this is a very vacant area. And this is looking on Citrus Springs Boulevard across from approximately where the entrance, one of the entrances would be. You can see in the master plan there's going to be 4 entrances. This will be served by potable water and by county sewer and county water. This is the master plan. The 4 entrances are marked in red. There is 1 entrance on Citrus Springs Boulevard, 2 on that side road, and 1 on 491. You can they're in the staff report and also in the conditions. Engineering has reviewed this. Had no issues other than some standards they want to put in. For example, on 491, they need to line up with the existing park entrance right across the street. On the median up here, that's going to be a directional median. This thing won't work great. Directional median on Citrus Springs Boulevard. You can see some of their DRA areas. Those little purple blotchy areas are very small sections of flood zone that they have to deal with, but they are aware of that. Staff talks about the impervious surface. They are asking for a change in impervious surface. They're going to low density residential. That is our lowest residential category. They were trying to be consistent with the surrounding area. So the surrounding area is about 4.3 units per acre in this residential section of Citrus Springs. They're asking for 4.15. So they certainly are proposing something that's similar to the area. As far as impervious surface, however, the low density residential is 35%. They're asking for 55%, but calculated on a development wide process. Now the heavy industrial that it has right now is at 70%. So it's quite a bit difference going down to the 55% that they're requesting. There are up to 800 single-family units. They are asking for relief from setbacks as well. They want minimum lot widths of 40 feet, front setbacks of 20 feet with a corner lot at 10 feet, and sides of 5 feet, rears of 15 feet. Those are not LDC standards, but they are not uncommon. You've seen those in some other residential developments. There are 14 conditions recommended. I don't think I need to go over them, but if you need me to have any questions on that, they are asking to, I should point out, they have 2 crossings on the power lines. Let's see if I can get this thing to work. 2 crossing on the power line easements. They are going to have to get approval from Duke for that. They also are proposing a pedestrian entrance here to the school. They'll have to get permission from the school board for that. And also over here to the trail. This is an existing dog park. Both wonderful. We do encourage pedestrian connectivities. They will have to get a permission from both of those entities to do that. Findings of fact are positive in this case, going from heavy industrial to low density residential in this area.
Thank you. Does the applicant have any questions of the staff? Thank you. Any questions of staff from the board? Mr. Bass.
Is this planned to be, actually this should have probably been to the applicant, is this going to be private or is this going to be public development?
You mean roadways?
Yes.
Mr. Lutz is indicating that, Cami Court again, Mr. Lutz is indicating the roads would be public roads.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Seeing none, we'll have the public portion of the meeting now. Yes, ma'am.
Good morning. My name is Janira Spasquez. I own the house that they just showed up there. If you see the entrance on the top, my house is directly in front of it. You have a picture of it when they took the pictures of the site. Now, I'm against it. I bought this house for my retirement. I already retired. I've been living there for a year since my retirement. We have high traffic in there. We have the rec area on the side that is like a park is constantly drug infested. The police has to be moving around there all the time. We have the schools, we have the traffic that stops me from pulling out of my house as it is. It's not major at this time, but it's gonna be much major, as the lady describes, that they wanna put an entrance for the school, for pedestrians on the side. So now I'm gonna have people walking, teenagers hanging out. I mean, I'm the most affected, because if you can see on your map here, my house is directly in front of the entrance that you're gonna make, which means that everybody is gonna make either a left or right hand turn into those properties. My house is gonna be lit up all the time. Garbage is gonna be there, music is gonna be there, people walking at night. I'm not happy with that. I just retired. I'm happy as it is. I bought a house on the main road to make it easier for me to get to 41. But not because I wanted to live in population. For that, I would have stayed in Miami. I came up here, I worked real hard for this place. I'm not opposing more people moving in, but I wanna know, is this gonna be like Citrus Springs? I buy 2 lots, or I buy 3 lots, or every unit is gonna be a house? Or, what am I looking at? Because I have to be ready to make my decision if I wanna stay in a highly populated area or not. I mean, I have to make this decision, and I think that as the representative of my county, where I pay taxes, where I've lived for over 30 years, I think I earned that consideration, from all of you. Because I pay my taxes on time, you never have to send me letters, you never have problems with me. So why can't I ask that maybe an entrance be done in another location that isn't directly in front of me? Because I'm the one right now that's gonna get the hit. None of the other neighbors right now are gonna get any hit. So I would really, really like you guys to consider that. Really, I mean, the entrance right there is a narrow area. It's not a gigantic piece of land, okay? It's not like the other sides that you can have an entrance and you can still have green. It's not like that. The one in front of my house is just that plot right there. I would greatly like a reconsideration of at least that 4th entrance. I was told it was only 3. Now I hear it's 4. I also hear that you want to put walking for the public to come into the school.
Ms. Vasquez, your time is up. Thank you.
Sure.
We understand.
Okay, I'm glad.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Yes, ma'am. You do, but you can come up and then you can give it to her when you're done. You just need to state your name and address for the record, please.
My name is Donna Barrett, and the address is 10131 Yacht Club Drive in Treasure Island, Florida. I own the property because the trail goes between the middle of it, and it's like kind of like where the blue is on the end there. I own that part and the other side. So how will that affect my property? Because you're talking about like setbacks being different and everything else.
So this isn't a question and answer portion for the board and you, but your questions are being heard by the applicant and they'll get an opportunity to come up and rebut.
Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else? Anyone else in favor or against? Seeing none, we'll close the public portion of the meeting. Bring it back. Miss, you said your last name so fast I couldn't get it.
Sorry, I talked too fast. Corbett.
Miss Corbett.
Yes.
We have some questions and some opposition if you'd like to.
Sure, a
handle
couple
that?
of things. The setbacks that we're talking about are internal to the subdivision. They're setbacks between the houses. They're the front setbacks and the side setbacks from between the houses. So we're not talking about the setbacks external when we're asking for a different standard. So I just want to address that first. As far as the entrances and the exits are concerned, we're following recommendations of your county engineering as to entrances and exits, and we do have 4 different access points for the development. So there are multiple access points that the residents can utilize. So not all of the impacts will be happening at that one northern exit. And again, you heard your staff testify that the pedestrian access that is being proposed is actually consistent and compatible with your land development regulation, isn't actually encouraged. And we are trying to be compatible with that as well. And again, we are taking a property that is currently entitled for heavy industrial, high impact. It's not currently developed in that way, but we are considerably de-intensifying the impacts of what could be developed on this vacant property. I'm happy to answer any other questions you might have.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else have any questions based on what she said? Seeing none, thank you, Ms. Corbett. Okay, bring it back to the board. Motions, discussions? I'll just open it up. I'm in favor of the application. I know we've heard some opposition. I think the, moving it from heavy industrial is, it's a good move. It's kind of weird that that property was ever designated industrial, in my opinion, seeing as how it connects and is adjacent to all of the residential properties there and the schools. But, a lot of things were different back in the 70s, so that's what I got to say.
What he said.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I have to agree with you. I think this is a good use for the site. I think it's going to be definitely an improvement getting the industrial removed from there. I would be in favor of it.
Okay, for the purpose of a motion, I will say the Planning and Development Commission finds application number CPA AAPUD-21-15 consistent with the Citrus County Comprehensive Plan and the Citrus County Land Development Code, and that this board recommends approval with the conditions of the application to the Board of County Commissioners based upon the evidence and testimony presented and the staff report and conclusions regarding this petition.
I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
item number 5. We talk about a minimum 10-foot wide type B buffer, and the applicant on our staff report on page 5, we talk about a 6-foot high PVC perimeter fence. I think that should be added to condition number 5, just to ensure that we have that.
Do you have any concerns with? Yep, applicant's nodding, they don't have any concerns with that, that's fine.
Okay.
And on item number 7, I think you want to change the comment from corner lot fronts from 10 inches to 10 feet.
Oh my, I have an extra dash there, I apologize, clearly 10 feet, not 10 inches, thank you.
That's all I have.
That's a good catch.
That is a good catch, thank you.
Okay, so with the conditions as amended, anybody else? All those in favor?
Do you want to restate the motion and the second to include the amendments?
Well, I said with the amended
You
conditions.
might have said that, yes, sir.
Does anyone else? I was
With
the
the-
one that did the motion.
And who did the second?
I second it, and I have no issues.
Well, he said it.
Just want to make sure our
He's not
record is
gonna
clear.
contradict
I just
himself.
want to make sure our record is clear.
Okay. Yes,
Can I
ma'am.
just
Thank you for keeping me
state for
proper.
the record regarding the access to the school that would have to be approved as a separate item, because we do have security issues now that we have to take into account, even though generally it's a good thing to have pedestrian access. There are new security requirements for access points that we would have to look at that as a separate issue.
Right, and condition 11 does address that they will have to have approval from the school and from the trail as applicable if they're going to access those.
Are we good? Does everybody understand? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Always shooting the messenger.
Just keeping us straight. Staff announcements or?
Yeah, we do have 2 meetings in December. There's 2 on the December 2nd and 4 applications on the December 16th agenda. That's it. We're getting a lot of development still, so the agendas will still be fairly full next few months.
Anyone else? That's it? Motion to adjourn?
So move.
Thank you. See you guys.